2 years. That's how long Kotaro had lived next to the silent girl. They communicated through a whiteboard, never a single word. Tonight, the elevator ride down felt different. The air was thick with something unspoken.
I lied.
Was that her? 2 years of silence, and now her voice echoes in this small box?
The whiteboard she always clutched like a lifeline slipped from her fingers. It hit the floor with a hollow sound, and then a sob wrenched from her throat. Tears welled up and spilled over as her body shook. The elevator doors slid open at that precise moment. The hallway stretched out, empty. She ran. Kotaro's hand reached out, but his body wouldn't move. He was rooted to the spot.
What just happened? She spoke, and it was a lie. What did that mean?
The sunset light poured through the corridor window, but it felt cold. She was gone. The silence returned, heavier than ever. The fading echo of her footsteps jolted Kotaro into motion. He sprinted down the corridor, heart pounding. He shoved open the stairwell door. The harsh fluorescent light buzzed overhead. There, on the concrete steps, Honoka was curled into herself, her back against the wall, shaking.
Onoka, please. What did you mean? You lied?
She didn't answer. Instead, her trembling fingers picked up the whiteboard and marker. Her handwriting was unsteady. I can talk. I am sorry. I was just afraid.
Afraid? Afraid of what? You've been silent for 2 years.
She pressed the whiteboard against her face, hiding her tears. No voice escaped.
Why me? Why now? After all this time, you owe me an explanation.
The only response was the squeak of the marker, as she furiously wrote more on the board. When she turned the board, the words hit him. I lost my voice at 12. A vocal cord injury took it all. More appeared. By 17, I could speak again, but I kept pretending. The pity felt like protection.
You've been able to talk for 5 years, and you chose to stay silent, even with me?
Her hand shook as she erased the board and wrote again, each letter deliberate. The board read, "The social armor." I couldn't let it go. Deference became my comfort.
So silence wasn't a disability. It was a choice she made out of fear. I get that. But why test your voice on me? After 2 years of nodding and notes.
Anoka's marker hovered over the board, but no words came. She bit her lip.
Onoka, this isn't just about fear, is it? I know there's more.
She looked away, her silence now a wall instead of a retreat. The air thickened with unspoken truth. With a deep breath, Honoka wiped the board clean and wrote something new. The board now said, I tested my voice on you because you are the one I trust most.
Trust? That's what this is about. After 2 years of silence, you suddenly trust me enough to speak?
She underlined the word trust, then added below, but there's more.
More? What more could there possibly be? After everything, you are still not telling me the whole story.
Onoka erased the board methodically, each stroke heavy with unspoken weight. Then she wrote 2 sentences. I moved next to you on purpose. I've needed to tell you something for 2 years. Kotaro stared at the board, his mind reeling. She moved here for him. The silence had a purpose.
On purpose? She planned to live next to me. This whole time was calculated. What could you possibly need to tell me that took 2 years of lies? Onoka, look at me.
Onoka didn't lift her head. Instead, she wiped the board slowly and began to write a single name. The board turned toward him, read in shaking letters, Dr. Sato.
That's my father's name. How could she know that?
Before he could finish, she erased the name and wrote again, pressing harder. Below the erased name, a new line appeared. He saved my life.
My father saved your life? That's impossible. I would have known.
Her hand shook, but she kept writing, the marker squeaking in the silent stairwell. When she showed it again, it read, he operated on my vocal cords. I was 12.
An emergency surgery? For free? Why did he never tell me? If this is true, you need to prove it. How do I know you're not just making this up?
Anoka's marker flew across the board, her hand desperate to translate years of hidden truth. The words trembled on the plastic. An accident at 12 damaged my vocal cords. Without surgery, I would have never spoken again. In the sterile hospital room, a young Hanoka lay small and terrified, her parents weeping by her side. She erased and wrote again, the marker squeaking. Dr. Sato performed an emergency surgery for free. My family couldn't afford it. In the operating room, Dr. Sato worked with steady hands, restoring a voice that had been stolen too soon. Another line appeared. I recovered fully by 17, but my family never forgot the debt. That debt became a mission. Her family had tracked down the surgeon's son, the boy who shared his name. Kotaro stared at her, the pieces clicking into place, his world tilting on its axis.
So she moved here to repay a debt I didn't even know existed. My father gave her back her voice.
His hand moved on its own, pulling out his phone. His father's contact glowed on the screen. Kotaro pressed the call button. The dial tone echoed against the concrete walls of the stairwell.
Hello, Kotaro? Is something wrong? You never call this late.
Dad, I need to ask you about a patient. A girl, 12 years old, damaged vocal cords.
There was a long pause. Then his father's voice came, thick with a decade-old memory.
I remember her. The parents were desperate. I did the surgery pro bono. I never forgot that case.
He actually did it. Honoka's story wasn't a lie. All this time, it was real.
Anoka clutched the whiteboard to her chest, silent sobs shaking her as she heard the confirmation.
She's here with me right now. She wanted to thank you. After 10 years, she finally spoke.
After all these years, I often wondered what became of her. Bring her to me, Kotaro.
The call ended. The secret that had bound her silence for years now tied them all together. Honoka wiped the board clean with a trembling hand, then wrote with renewed urgency. Her family spent years searching for the surgeon's son. They found your name and address. A new line appeared. They arranged for me to rent the apartment next door. She looked up at him, tears still wet, and added, I was supposed to quietly repay the debt, but I couldn't find the words. Every day, the silence grew stronger. 2 years passed. I was a coward, hiding behind the whiteboard.
2 years of her life, dedicated to a debt my family never asked for. And she suffered in silence.
I am sorry. I wanted to thank him. I wanted to thank you, but I was trapped. She lowered the board, finally meeting his eyes. The silence between them felt different now. Kotaro stared at her, the weight of her sacrifice pressing down on him. He had no words. Anoka wiped the board and wrote again, her hand no longer hesitating. She turned it to him. My family said never to burden you, just to be kind, and one day thank him properly. Then she erased and added, but every day the silence grew louder. I failed.
Why today? After all this time, why break your silence now?
Her answer came in shaking letters. Because I trust you, and I couldn't keep lying anymore.
Trust. She trusted him enough to shatter 2 years of fear. The weight began to lift. Then let's go. Right now. My father is waiting. He wants to see you.
Anoka's eyes widened, fear flickering. She started to write a protest.
You don't need the board. Just come with me. We'll face it together.
Kotaro stood, offering his hand. After a long moment, she took it, leaving the whiteboard behind on the concrete. He pressed redial, the phone trembling in his grip.
Dad, we're on our way. She's really scared, but we need to do this.
I'll be here. Tell her not to worry. She's already been so brave.
I can't. What if I freeze? I've been hiding for years.
You broke a 2-year silence today. That took more courage than speaking ever will.
They stepped out into the evening, the sky bleeding amber into the streets. The Sato Voice Clinic stood at the end of the lane, warm light spilling from its windows. Onoka's grip on Kotaro's arm tightened. Every step forward felt like a plunge. At the doorstep, Kotaro raised his hand. The doorbell glinted in the fading light. Inside the clinic, Dr. Sato set out 2 extra cups. He had no idea what was about to walk through his door. Moments later, the doorbell chimed. Dr. Sato opened the door, but his smile vanished when he saw the trembling girl beside his son.
Dad, this is Hanoka, the girl you saved.
Dr. Sato stared at her, the name pulling him back to a cold operating room and a mother's desperate prayers. Anoka clutched her whiteboard, knuckles white, the ghost of old writing still visible.
Onoka, after all this time?
She finally lifted her chin, tears brimming but held back with a strength that surprised even her.
You can speak? The surgery it held?
Anoka nodded, a fragile, rasping sound escaping her throat for the first time in years. The doctor's eyes glistened, but he held back the tears, his hand trembling on the doorframe. In the doorway, time suspended. A decade, a surgery, 2 years of silence, they all collided in that single breath. He stepped aside, ushering them into the warmth of the clinic's living quarters. Without a word, he crossed to an old filing cabinet and pulled out a worn folder.
Vocal cord trauma, age 12, emergency surgery, no charge, yes. This is her file.
Anoka uncapped her marker and wrote on the whiteboard, the squeak filling the silence. The board read, "Thank you for giving me my voice back. I am sorry it took this long." Tears finally spilled onto the board as she bowed low, her mint green hair hiding her face. The doctor removed his glasses, the lenses fogging from the heat behind his eyes.
Kotaro didn't dare breathe. This was the thanks that had been 2 years in the making.
I did what any doctor would, but knowing you can speak, that's more than enough.
She looked up, lips parted, the words hovering just behind them. The room held its breath.
It really worked. You can truly speak?
Yes, I can speak because of you.
The words were raw, a voice unused to full sentences, but they shattered the last wall. Dr. Sato's composure crumbled. His glasses fogged, and a sob tore from his throat. Kotaro watched, a tear sliding down his own cheek. The silence he'd known for 2 years was finally broken.
I never dreamed I'd hear your voice. This is the greatest reward.
I was so scared. For so long I hid. But I needed to thank you.
He reached across the table, his surgeon's hands trembling, and gently covered hers.
You never needed to thank me. Just hearing you now, that's all I could have asked for.
The dam of a decade broke entirely. In that small living room, silent tears became a shared language. He rose from the chair, arms opening, and pulled her into a fierce embrace.
I never forgot you. The little girl who couldn't talk. Seeing you now is the greatest gift.
Kotaro stepped back, letting the moment belong entirely to them. A tear traced his jaw.
I promise. I won't waste it. I'll use this voice. For you.
Her vow hung in the air, fragile but unbreakable. Dr. Sato's shoulders shook with silent sobs. For a long while, the only sound was the ticking clock and the muffled weeping of 2 people bound by a surgery. A decade ago.
Kotaro thought of the whiteboard left in the stairwell. It didn't matter anymore.
When they finally parted, Hanoka's eyes were red but bright. The armor of silence had cracked.
You've given me more than you know. Thank you for coming back.
The clinic living room, once just a place for medical files, had become a sanctuary of reclaimed voices. The 3 of them settled around the low table, steam rising from fresh cups of tea.
So, tell me everything. How did you find us? And why the silence? All these years.
My family searched for the surgeon's son. They found Kotaro's address. They wanted me to thank you, but I was too scared. Speaking made the debt real. Silence was my shield.
To me, the whiteboard was just our way. I never guessed it hid something so huge.
2 years passed. It became normal. I was so used to the quiet that speaking felt like a betrayal.
But in the elevator, something changed. Why then?
I looked at Kotaro, and I just trusted him. If I didn't speak then, I never would.
She said, I lied. and I thought my heart would stop, but I am glad.
And for the first time that evening, Honoka laughed, a small sound that filled the room more than any silence ever could. As the hour grew late, they rose to leave. The clinic had never felt smaller or warmer.
Before you go, take this. Voice exercises from my practice. Use them well.
Thank you. I'll practice every day.
He placed it in her hands, his own steady for the first time all evening. Then, into the night, the streets were quiet, the lamps casting long shadows as they walked toward home.
I think I'm getting used to it. Speaking, I mean...
You are doing great, and I'll be here to listen whenever you are ready.
The whiteboard was still tucked under her arm, a habit too deep to break in one night. But Kotaro noticed her voice was already sounding less like a test and more like herself. By the time they reached the apartment, something new had taken root between them, an unspoken promise. Weeks passed. Every morning, Honoka sat by the window, the voice exercise book open, meticulously sounding out vowels that once felt impossible. Kotaro often joined her after class, turning practice into a shared ritual, reading lines from books like a two-person play.
Your R's are getting crisp. No more whispery clouds. You are almost ready for a real conversation.
It's still hard. Some days I forget I can speak, but I am trying. For him, for you.
The whiteboard on her desk gathered dust. She reached for it less than almost never, a silent victory. One afternoon, she hesitated mid-sentence, then continued without writing. Kotaro noticed, but said nothing. That evening, in the park, she spoke freely, rambling, laughing. The armor was gone.
Kotaro?
Yeah?
No trembling hands, no whiteboard. Just his name and the smile that answered it, warmer than any sunset. A year later, the retirement ceremony of Dr. Sato filled the banquet hall. A banner read, "Congratulations, Doctor," in gold letters. Backstage, Honoka stood before a small mirror, clutching a note card. Her reflection stared back, wide-eyed.
I used to dread making a sound. Now I am about to speak in front of 100 people.
You've come so far, Honoka. Just speak from the heart.
We're all out there. Give them the voice you gave us.
Her fingers stopped trembling. She folded the note card and placed it on the table. The announcer called her name. A spotlight hit the podium, waiting. Honoka walked into the light, her heels steady on the wooden floor. The whiteboard was nowhere in sight. In the front row, Kotaro raised a thumbs up, his eyes shining. She gripped the microphone. The first word of her speech already formed in her throat, a promise kept.
When I was 12, I lost my voice. A kind doctor gave it back.
The room fell silent. Dr. Sato leaned forward, his hands trembling.
That doctor is here today. He saved more than my voice. He saved my ability to thank him.
Tears slid down the doctor's cheeks. He removed his glasses, mouthing her name.
Thank you, Dr. Sato, for giving me the courage to finally use the voice you restored.
Kotaro was the first to applaud, his clap a solitary beat. Then the room erupted. She bowed, a smile breaking through tears. The silence she once hid in was now thunderous applause. Dr. Sato rose from his seat, his applause louder than anyone's, his face a map of pride and tears. That voice, once trapped in a whiteboard's ink, now filled the hall, a gift returned in full. The ceremony became a celebration of two lives intertwined by a single, selfless act long ago. Honoka stepped down from the stage, a bouquet of lilies trembling in her hands. The applause still echoed. Dr. Sato was already there. Arms open, his eyes still wet.
Your voice. It's the finest retirement gift I could ever receive.
I'll keep using it, I promise. For you, and for everyone who believed.
Kotaro watched from a step away. Then Honoka reached back and pulled him in. The three of them held each other, a family forged not by blood, but by a single act of kindness years ago. Someone lifted a camera. They lined up, arms around each other, smiles breaking through the tears. Click. A decade of silence, 2 years of hidden notes, and one voice that finally found its way home.
I finally understand. This was never about a debt. It was about finding her voice.
Anoka looked at the two men beside her and laughed. A free, full sound that no whiteboard could ever hold. Later, in her apartment, the bouquet rested on the table. Anoka walked to the shelf where the whiteboard still lay, untouched for weeks. She picked it up, tracing the faded ghost marks of old conversations with her finger. With the old marker, she wrote 2 words in the corner, her hand no longer trembling. The board now read in neat handwriting, "Thank you." She placed it on the shelf, leaning it carefully beside the dried flower from the ceremony.
I don't need this anymore.
Number. But it's not a bad memory. It's proof of how far you've come.
The whiteboard was no longer a crutch. It was a keepsake. A chapter closed, a voice opened. Anoka turned to Kotaro, her expression lighter than it had ever been in 2 years. Sometimes the greatest lies protect the most fragile truths. And sometimes a single word can fill a silence that lasted years. On the shelf, the whiteboard stayed, marked with "Thank you," a dried flower beside it, a quiet monument to a voice reclaimed. The next evening, the apartment hallway was bathed in the same warm orange light that had witnessed her silence 2 years ago. Anoka and Kotaro walked through the streets, no whiteboard in sight, her words flowing freely.
I still can't believe I actually got on that stage. My voice didn't shake.
It was perfect. My father is still talking about it. You made his retirement unforgettable.
No more lying, no more hiding, just this.
They walked on, her voice now a natural melody, no longer a test of courage. Back in the hallway, the sunset faded, but the silence was gone. In its place, the echo of a promise kept. The whiteboard remained, a keepsake of a time when words were written, until a voice learned to speak them. And as the sun set, 2 figures walked side by side, talking, laughing, free.